you get that sunshine in your smile? Tell me, beautiful, where you going, beautiful? How'd you like to romance for a while? When you're near, what joy and cheer you're bringing. Can't you hear the bees and birdies singing? Hello, beautiful, how can you be beautiful and still be mother's angel child? Hello, beautiful, how'd you get so beautiful? Hello, beautiful, where you going, beautiful? Hello, beautiful, how can you be beautiful and still be mother's angel child? There's sweetness in the call of the woodland dove as his love song echoes through the trees. There's sweetness in the rose with its symbol of love floating on a summer breeze. But nothing can compare to the sweetness of the one and only one.
Greetings, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I have come to berries. Praise Caesar. Well, again, that ends my thespian practice for the evening. I figure over the course of about 5 years, I'll probably get the lines just right. And I'd like to give you a quote, as you know, every evening. And this particular quote comes from Elizabeth I, England, the one who fought off the Spanish Armada with Sir Walter Raleigh, who apparently said, "Tell that idiot to stop bowling and get on a ship and sink those damn Spanish galleons." Now, I'm sure there's probably a little bit of Old English mistranslation there, but that's kind of the quote. And take it for what it's worth. Now, you will notice something a little different tonight, which is thanks to tech wizards and there isn't me. But the camera is now completely divorced from the art table that I, which means simply that the shaking is gone. If you see a shake, it's because I've moved the table. The camera will not move, ever. It's solitary, solid. The problem has been solved. And I hope for everybody who has considered it like watching the original Cloverfield or the Blair Witch Project, who felt nauseous, well, I apologize. It is now solved, and it is, I'm glad it's solved. Because, believe it or not, it takes a lot of, wondering and whatever, how to do that. I've, also will mention that if you look down, you will see more pencils than normal. And that's because, I got some more pencils, 60 to be exact, and I've added them to the complete mix that are pencils that are down here. And I just want to say that I know some people wonder why it is that I just spread my pencils up, don't organize them. There is a reason for this, an artistic reason. And that reason simply is that when I'm looking for color, every barrel of every pencil is a different color. And sometimes I got a color in my head, but then I look down and I go, oh, that would even work better. You see, if it's all organized, you just go for the color you're originally thinking of. And it turns out that often or not, like it's not a Keen's razor so much. It's more like, oh, that's even better. And you do second guess yourself, but for art, it turns out better. And a consequence of that is that I need the pencils all over the bloody place. As I do a scan, that'll really work. It doesn't work that way if they're all in, for me, if they're all in whatever order and all that stuff, So that's why. Now, we're working on this lovely, lovely creature, orc. She's an orc. And I have spent a good part of the day looking at a YouTube channel which has 1,000 images of digital art and etc. And I have to say, pardon me, that probably 3/4 of them I want to draw out on paper, on Strathmore paper. Now, needless to say, I'll never get to that number, but it's on my Chromecast, which is on to my right up here. Huge. And, oh man, they're all at 1080p, and they just look so good. But anyway, be that as it may, that's what I've been doing. And we're about to embark again on our little friend here. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put in a layer of rose pale, just to kick up the color a little bit on her skin. This isn't really necessary, but you know what? Some artists are not perfectionists, but me, I kind of, until it's exactly the way I want it, man, oh man, I just keep going. And also the fact that as you draw under these kind of lights, your eyes degrade a little bit by the time the third or fourth hour comes along. And when I'm fresh and I'm looking at this, I immediately see some things that I didn't necessarily see when I was on the 4th hour last night. So what I'm doing is I'm just going in and giving them a light touch, so to speak. And in addition, if I can find it now with another 60 pencils down here, I'm going to give it a little bit of a blend. I don't know if you remember last night, but I said that if you're using illustration board, there is a bit of a texture to illustration board. And what happens is that little bit of texture, if you're using Prismacolor, when you don't see the texture anymore, it's the board screaming at you, I can't take any more. That's it. I'm filled. Well, that means there's no pixel. Completely filled. So what you do is you put light layers on top of that, and then that's where all the magic happens, because now the light is going through and you're getting an incredible look through the Prismacolor of the light passing through the layers and bouncing back off of the underpainting, which is the markers. And I've gone over the marker situation with Studio 71, and I'll tell you, man, what a find. I've used them, and I'm telling you, I'm now recommending them as a foil for spending $8 a marker on Copic. I know Copic probably hates me. The point being is that, you charge $8 a marker. Man, that the only ones that are getting really killed are the artists. Who else buys Copic markers? Well, I guess the crafters like that. Well, but just straight artists. I mean, and I know crafting's big and you want to make your money, but really, come on. At least give some little effort to the people who kind of made you what you are today. Every time I look at Prismacolor, I feel the same way. Because I used Prismacolor for years. Prismacolor was in markers, was the marker to go to. Copic just took the market right off them instantly. And the only reason they took the market was because Copic came out with a brush end on the marker. Right, a brush tip end. Not a pointy end, a brush tip. And Prismacolor was kind of like, well, our markers are so good it won't matter. Yeah, well, when they saw the sales start to drop like rocks, they panicked, brought out their own set. They're about $1.50, $2 cheaper than Copic's. But I don't know if you can refill them. Actually, I don't think you can. So they really never really addressed their marketing problem, and for that,
Radio Dismuke is now on Facebook.
Well, I don't know. I'm mystified. They said the whole company just seems to be one giant layer of confusion for me. And that's because they always seem to be lacking any innovative or marketing innovations, or they play catch up all the time. And sooner or later, it's going to bite them in the rear end. I am sure somebody's coming out with wax-based pencils, and they're going to have some special one thing. They won't be round; they'll be octagonal or something. They won't roll off the table, so you hear me screaming every night to say, "You son of a! You ran! Oh, you ran!" That would be really nice, Like, no, they've never figured that one out. But to innovation, Innovation. I'm just getting the nice blends in here. I told you what happens with the wax is it rises a little bit to the top. So what you need to do, I don't really know if you can see it, but because you really have to really look. But if you're up close like I am, I can see it, and to get rid of it's really easy. I mean, you just go over it with a blender. Instantly, it's gone. But that's part of the process, and that's one of the prices you pay for using wax. But by the other side of the coin, the price you pay for using wax is that you get an unbelievable blend. So there's no price to pay, in other words. It's just as fabulous. I've never found anything like it. And I've shown you, I've used the polychromes that are sitting over there. And you can mix them with Prisma, but, you know, when you got the best, or in my opinion, the best, why bother? Why bother? And I'll just finish this up over here. Little blend. Now, I know some of you are probably wondering, almost like I took a shortcut to do the arms here, which putting down the blend, the marker, and quickly getting it done, and like it took me probably 20 minutes to do both arms or something. Well, yes, that is true. But that doesn't, the arms are not primary in this drawing. So what I've done is I've given it depth, etc. But it doesn't necessarily have the depth of the chest and the face. And to the observer, to the person looking at it, you'd never know. But it's just a little shortcut you can do. It saves you hours and hours, because this took like 70 hours to do, and this took like 45 minutes. So the thing about it is you don't get that depth of color, and that's like those greens underneath and whatnot. You just can't get it, and you kind of have to slog through it. But when you do, man alive. Man alive. And last night I was looking at this as well, and I see this shadow down here is not quite right. It's not quite the right tone. So, in order to make it the right tone, I'm going to use a Tuscan red, and I hope that does. I don't want to go into too dark a color. And Tuscan red comes up very nicely. Okay. Now I use a lot of Tuscan red, and I use it for shading. The reason I use it is because it's the type of color that you can go over with and add a color on top of it. And if you want to go darker for any reason, no problem. And as I want to pull that out now from the Tuscan red, I'm simply just going to grab a dark brown. Boy, that's an innovative name for a pencil crayon, eh? Dark brown. And dark brown, believe it or not, is not dark enough. I thought it would work. So, it is kind of working, but not quite the way I want it to. So I'm just going to go and jump the gun and go in and fix it. And that'll be that. And you're hearing a little bit more sharpening tonight, simply because I added 60 pencils to the pile. Well, I almost felt sorry for my poor friend Scott today, who I was when I said to him, "No, just put it in the pile." He went, "You gotta be kidding me." I went, "No, put it in the pile." But I've explained why, so hopefully that explanation will suffice. But that's the process. By the way, and I do feel sorry for all the people who not sample the cooking. I'll tell you, I had probably the best dinner I had had. Donkey night with his cooking. I'm telling you, it's almost too good to be true. Man, alive. And there's no truth to the rumor that I'll work for food. Even though I've, that's the second, actually, meal that I've had this week. First one was from Saturday, where one of my students' mother is an absolutely fabulous cook, and she cooks Venezuelan dishes. Anyway, I've never had it before, but oh my God. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Cuisine from around the world. I'm spoiled rotten here because I've got either Buddy Scott or I've got I don't know. I don't think it can get any better. If it does, if it can, somebody. I know I'm being anal about this because I froze on it already, and I'm just gonna move a highlight up just a tad more. Now that I've got daylight and artificial light mixed here, dot light, but I'm taking advantage of that daylight right now. There is nothing like it. Don't get me wrong, hot lights are about as close as you can get, but if you want absolute perfect light, nothing. Everything else is a second. Funny, you know, like I can remember when years ago when I first went outside to paint a painting, and an oil painting it was, and I did everything normal, you know, like I mixed the paints and did everything like I normally do. Then when it was over, when I brought it in that night, looked at it, the colors were literally that I had mixed and used. It was night and day, and new daylight. You know, it finally hits you. You don't really, well, you notice it, but you don't notice it. I don't know if that makes sense. It was like a revelation. Like, oh my believe this difference. Because, you know, being in Canada, you know, there isn't a lot of time to paint outside. We have short summers and long winters, and not like your Monet and around his gardens, and it's just we're and I got word today that my student, my animation student. Oh, I shouldn't have said his name. Or I forget I said that. Just forget I said it, okay? Anyway, says to me, you know, for me to get really good at painting, I'm gonna have to draw a lot or paint a lot. I said, well, yeah. He goes, well, would you consider letting me come, like, for the summer? What? For the summer? What do you mean for the summer? He goes, no, I'll go home every day. He said, I said, oh, no kidding. And he goes, yeah. I said, well, I've got projects planned. Some paintings I want to do outside. But I said, I don't know about, like, I don't know about the whole summer. Like, and I said, I might be able to accommodate you if you want to follow me, because really he'll tag along, really. He'll work on a painting while I'm doing it, so not that big a deal. But says, I said maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or that I might be able to accommodate you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm not thinking, right? I'm thinking, oh, that's you know, that's a while away. I mean, because it's like June or whatever. Not thinking that he's in Sheridan. So he goes, oh, great. I go, well, okay, so I guess it would start like in June or something. He goes, oh, no, I'm out of school in 6 weeks. 6 weeks? He goes, yeah. I went, oh, yeah, right, you're in college. Oh, my God. So I said to him, oh. And then it was like, yeah, but, like, you said it was okay. I went, oh. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, Kimosabi. There, she's back the way I want her now. That's it. I said, whoa. This is going to take some thought, you know, like, I said 6 weeks. I said, I was thinking June. And he's going, oh, no, I'm out of school long before that. Oh. I said, okay, let me figure something out. So I left it with him. So, I hope that looks really clear to you, because it looks really clear to me. But the camera now is in another spot, so I'm kind of second guessing myself. If that's the right word, I don't know. Anyway. I thought I had this color, huh? Oh. It's a different color red. Okay.
Just goes to show I was wrong.
Wrong about what?
About how good your singing was.
Please, what's the matter with it?
Damn, that's it.
Why, that's like saying, what's the matter with a Dodge car? Nothing. Nothing at all. I just didn't think anything could be that good. And that's what thousands of people are saying about the Dodge Beauty winner of 1936. Nothing could be that good, but it is. It's the top in everything: appearance, safety, performance, and economy. Ask your local Dodge dealer to give you a demonstration. Why not visit him tomorrow? How about it?
Well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to go see about a Dodge. Oh, I heard it on the radio. There we go. Actually, that really popped up that color, didn't it? Wow. It looked good. So we got the greenish tinge, and you know, the lights. That's what I'm seeing. Okay? Because that's got the natural light on it. That's got the natural light. Can you see that? I'll wait a second till it shows up on.
From her head to feet, she gives your eyes a treat. She's a great, great girl. Got a heart so big it seems to dance a jig. She's a great, great girl.
Boy, the lag is something else. Oh.
I'd give up sleeping, even give up my meal, to be beside her and hear the tap tap of her heel. We took a long walk and had a long talk.
Now I closed one light down, as I said, so you can see it. Daylight.
Can't you hear my friends and family all congratulating me? I'm making no mistake.
There you go.
She's a great, great girl.
That's kind of that's how I see it. And if you're seeing it now like I see it, which isn't quite as illuminated out, so to speak. The illumination. Anyway, onward and upward. I think I'm going to do the horns first. Now, what I don't know is, are the horns her hair wrapped around, or the orcs? I think orcs just have horns. I think so. Anyway. Oh man, that's better in the eyes. Adjusting here, adjusting. Pull it down. Okay, I'm gonna do ding, ding, the horns. And they're like a dark brown, Tuscan red, a little bit of black. Then we got some tan colors in there. There we go. Burnt ochre. And we just want a regular brownie. Prismacolor gold and silver in. How uses gold and silver? And you can draw that, you know. You don't just put on gold and silver. I mean, you can, but not Prismacolor, I wouldn't think. Anyway. Oh yeah. Ah, yes, here we go. That'll do it. There we go. Okay. Found the colors. What's the meaning of the same pencil drops twice? Is there like some sort of curse or something? Oh my God. No wonder this pencil sharpened weird. Well, you know what? I'm gonna put the lighter stuff. I'm gonna use just an executive decision here. Lighter than over, but I'm just gonna paddle on it. Oh, I'm gonna move it over so you're not in shit. What's my hell's not much. Oh. Get the light parts of this netting or whatever it is. The horns. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna get those highlights in first. I certainly hope people will stick around sometime next week, I guess, or later this week. Later this week for Rembrandt's The Man in the Golden Helmet. Because I've decided I'm going to do it in acrylic. So you're going to see me do an acrylic. How it's done. With a whole new set of instructions you normally haven't seen. So I'm looking forward to it. But I haven't done a Rembrandt in a long, long time. I've done quite a few Vermeers, but not a Rembrandt. But I saw The Man in the Golden Helmet and realized it. And one of the reasons I think I gravitated to it was the JPEG was so incredible that it showed such detail that I just was blown away, and I went, man alive. Because that's always the problem if you're doing an old master. You want to be able to see it. Which is why, if you've ever seen that movie Tim's Vermeer, you know it's fake. One giant joke by Penn and Teller. I never even saw the painting. Unbelievable. How are you going to make a stroke-by-stroke copy of a painting that you've never seen? Come on. Give me a break. But if you know Penn and Teller, that's their kind of humor. You just put it into a movie. Hilarious. I actually saw the movie on Internet Movie Database reviewed like it was real. I went, oh my God. This joke has legs. It's been a few years, I think, 2-3 years since he did it. I thought, no wonder they're not telling the joke, or letting people know or get in on it, or in on the joke, because it's got legs. Like, the joke is still working. Oh man, alive.
Okay, the pitcher's box is out. Hey, run, skinny, for your life. Here comes Fatty with a butcher knife. Here comes Puddin'. Yeah, Chiggers, Puddin'head.
I wrote on my slate, I love you so. Can I carry your books home for you tonight, Mary?
Puddin'head's carrying my books home.
When we were a couple of kids,
Puddin'head got a sweetheart. Puddin'head got a sweetheart. Puddin'head Jones was fat and funny, dumber than sticks and stones. That is just why the kids...
Actually, I'm thinking as I'm doing this, why don't I just make it gold? Any idea why I'm not doing it gold? Neither do I. Do it gold. They look good.
Very good, Frederick. Now, Puddin'head, how do you spell Constantinople?
Well, this is where I spell it, teacher. C-O-N, there's your con. S-T-A-N, Stan, there's your constant. T-I, there's your T, there's your Stanty, there's your Constanty. N-O, there's your no, there's your Tino, there's your Stantino, there's your Constantino. P-L-E, pull, there's your no pull, there's your Tino pull, there's your Stantino pull, there's your Constantinople.
Very good, Puddin'head.
Good, that's perfect.
Didn't know beans from bones. Pencils and books were never made for Puddin'head Jones. Frederick, what kind of lines are those on the blackboard?
Those are perpendicular lines.
Puddin'head Jones, what kind of lines do you think they are?
Ma'am?
Puddin'head Jones, you pay attention to this class. What kind of lines do you think those are on the blackboard?
They look like Mae West lines to me, teacher.
Puddin'head Jones, you put that movie magazine right down and pay attention to this class.
Say, teacher, can I leave the room?
Yes.
After he got married, he went out and got a job and kept at it night and day. Stock market crashed, then came depression. Bankers cut down their loans. But who do
So long, fellas.
So long, Pud.
This song reminds me of a true story. And only people know about this are people from Northern Ontario, I think. Yeah. Years ago in Northern Ontario, there was a guy named Ernie. Ernie was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I mean, I gotta tell you, he really wasn't. Mind you, I called him Mister in those days because I was a kid. He was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But one thing Ernie knew how to do, and damn, I just picked up a hint of color there. Okay. Anyway, Ernie didn't know how to do really anything. It was like, wasn't that smart a guy. But anyway, one thing Ernie really knew how to do, and that was he could paint a sign better, like a regular sign, like whatever, Harvey or McDonald's, that kind of sign. Mind you, this is way before McDonald's time. Anyway, so it was by accident, really. People started coming to him and saying, Ernie, I need a sign. Can you paint me a sign? And he'd go, oh, sure. And I'll tell you, he could make a sign look so good that it was a showstopper. And then people started coming along going, where the hell did you get that sign? They go, well, this guy named Ernie, he can really do a good sign. And it went on and on and on and on. And soon, Ernie was making a small fortune. He was the guy to go to for signs in Northern Ontario. And he made a handsome living at it. I mean, handsome. He was Mr. Sign. And this is long before, 1 hour signs or whatever. They do it on a computer and they spit it out on that special sticky whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Paper, that pull away paper and stuff like that. This was all hand painted signs. And you could afford it. You went and got an Ernie sign. And he didn't know much, but he knew how to handle it, make a sign. And now they're kind of collector's items. People will buy them, just nostalgia. I mean, they're old now. Let's just be. Ernie's long gone. This is a long, long time. But my point is, it just goes to show you, you got the right product, world will beat a path to your door. And they did. Ernie died a very, very wealthy man. All from one thing, sign painting. In those days, if you wanted a sign, you had to have it hand painted. There was no other way. Now, you could get a sign like the U.S. Army used. You put down stencil letters and just spray around them. That was around. But it didn't do anything for your business. Let me just say that. So Ernie, he would. He could paint figures, and he'd weight the letters so they looked like the 3D, like on a Navy ship. And, oh man, incredible! But he did wonderful work. Anytime you think like, whoa, I can't do anything. Well, you need to figure out what you can do, because if Ernie could do it, anybody can do it. The funny part was, it was all by accident. It wasn't. It certainly wasn't contrived by any means. Ernie, he didn't start out and say, "I'm going to make a sign company." No, it just went from one thing to another, and pretty soon he had other artists working for him, and oh man. And he never had any competition, really, which was really weird. Because you think, well, why wouldn't some other artist just start up in like good old capitalist way? Well, it was Northern Ontario, which just wasn't like a clique or anything. But if you were from Northern Ontario, then I guess I could have picked up a pencil and pressed in red. Then they kind of stuck by what they knew, and that they say, oh no, I'll get it from Ernie. So he never really had any competition. Also, too, because he was from Northern Ontario, he had a kind of understood like the Northern Ontario mentality. So when he made a sign up and he put some figures in it or did something, he kind of really captured the business. That was part of the other thing. He was a Northerner, so he kind of knew what they were looking for. And other people could do signs, but they didn't have that flavor, And God, all that kind of craft work is all gone now. Lettering and all that stuff that was done by hand, it's all gone. Teach that, art school. I didn't take that because I wasn't in like the commercial art side. I was in the fine art side. But people were learning like how do you sign and how do you do this and how you do special lettering and placements and signs, what colors. I mean, it's all kind of like a science. You got to know what colors use in what environment. And Ernie knew. For instance, if you're covered around you with pine trees and everything's green around you, you don't use any purple in the sign because it'll just disappear. You got to use other colors. Ernie knew that. And the guys who could do the stuff, that kind of gone kind of knowledge. He knew Northern Ontario, so if you had he said I'm Thessalon or some little town like that. He knew if it was a treed place or what kind of trees were there and all that kind of stuff. He'd come up with it. He didn't have to travel. He knew. So, you kind of hand it to the guy. Every time a wave comes in to kiss the shore. All gone now. I don't think there's any sign painters left. Well, that's not quite true. I think there are some left, but they're all working in Hollywood. They're doing a period timepiece. They want the authentic looking sign, and the only way you're going to get that is to get a sign painter to do it. So there must be guys who can. But there's no businesses sign painting. It kind of makes you wonder, like as our retail environment completely changes, stores close, the retail environment not what it was, and people aren't shopping in stores anymore and all that kind of stuff, getting everything online. But what's going to replace them is little mom and pop stores. It needs to be seen though, if somebody came along with a really unique kind of sign, probably business there. Because these little stores will want something to separate them from to make them unique and stuff like that. One thing about signs now, nothing to. So if you have a better idea, a hell of a good job. It'll take about 5 years before it really takes off. But when I think that you'll see the big stores all start to really close down. Like I've just heard that Toys R Us now are gone. And
when you're with someone you love.
God's sake, don't shed any tears over Toys R Us, please. Because I remember when they came in, so like in the 80s, Toys R Us. Yeah, in the 80s. They put out every small toy shop out of business. Everyone. And I don't remember anybody shedding any tears about that. I remember reading some articles in the paper about it, like such and such toys is closing down the business, and after so many years, 100 years in business, and all this stuff, that was all Toys R Us. Their mission in life was to shut down every toy store everywhere, and they got their wish. They did, and they got done in. Who would it have been? Well, a combination of Walmart and online. The new reality is that the people just aren't going to go shop. If you don't believe me, go to your local mall and look. It's pretty grim. But again, you can't shed any tears because that's just the way things go. It runs its course. I mean, Sears Roebuck found that out. In Canada, we had a store called Eaton's, around for 100 some odd years. Closed out years ago. Killed dead. I don't know who killed them, but somebody did. That's just the way it is. But the other side of the coin is kind of an opportunity, right?
Radio Dismuke
An opportunity for people to start up little specialty stores in local areas where people can drive to in 5 minutes and get something that they can't get. Online shopping, and they have a personal experience, and they know the owner, and they get to talk and see what's going on, and people like that. And the consequence of that is, well,
we'll also be passing on a priceless gift to all those who this wonderful music for the first time as a result of our efforts.
It'll be good.
More information,
I think.
Go to www.early19.
I think it'll be really good. Now, I was gonna do her hair, but I thought, you know what? I have to put down the markers. And my new brush markers, I moved to the other studio, so. If I get to the hair, I'll get up and get them. If I don't, I'll bring them in later. Okay, now I gotta think armor. So, first of all, I gotta, wait a minute now. Armor starts here. This is a plate. Aha. What did I say? Yeah, that's armor plate. Aha. See, I do read my notes. Maybe not as thoroughly as I should, but I do read them. I'll get in the light highlight first. Go. And then dun, dun, dun. Well, the sun's gone. Another day. King Tut's father pray all night for it to come back up. Needless to say, for about 4.5 billion years, it's come up every day, so the odds are pretty good. Someday that won't happen, but not today, I don't think. You know, this is that kind of crazy. You know, it's over Armageddon. Da, da, da. Happens so many times. It makes you wonder. Eh? In 1920s, there was a group of religious people. Well, I think it's historical knowledge, so I can say who they were. They were Jehovah's Witnesses, and it was decided by whoever. I don't know who it was that decided. Yeah, it was decided that it was the end of the world. That was it. Over. And they had a lot of adherents. Like, not just a couple. I mean a lot. And the reason I know a little bit about this is because my father was around. Or told, I don't know if he was around or he told me about it or whether or not, I don't know, but I know he told me, he had said that he knew about it, like he had seen it happen. I don't know the details besides that, but what had happened is they said that the world is coming to an end. Therefore, divest yourself of all worldly possessions because you won't need it. We're going to heaven, and that's the end of that. And they had literally, in the United States, I can only speak for here and there, but I guess. But they, maybe that's what they literally gave their stuff away. Didn't sell anything. Like, somebody gave away their car to somebody or something. Anyway, they just completely got rid of the stuff and said, "Oh no, well you can have it because I don't need it because it's the end of the world. So if you think you need it, then that kind of stuff." And they literally just gave away their money, gave away their possessions, gave away everything, and waited. End of the world. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and guess what happened? It didn't. Now you had all these people who had lost, literally, given away all their possessions. Now you might think that somebody would say, oh, well, we knew you were just crazy, so, you have it back. Nope. Nope. Did not happen. They literally had nothing. Started from scratch. Gave away everything. And, there was hell to pay. But then I guess the church leaders came out and said we miscalculated. Anyway, there was a lot of victims. That's all I'm going to say. A lot. It was a scandal, really. People went, oh my God. Other people went, oh my God. You're kidding me. Signed over their houses and laughing. Why do you think you're going to need this? I mean, the kingdom of heaven is coming down to take us with them. We don't need this. We don't need any of this. What are you talking about? Oh, well. As they say. Something happens. Starts with an S. You gotta feel sorry for them. Why I can't believe, even today, they could have their parents. But I guess they went into the doldrums for years and all up again. Nobody remembers the situation whereby they lost everything. I mean, it's sad. The thing is, like, what are you gonna do? Bring a little bit of modeling in there, and I'm gonna lighten just it. Over it. Put down some indigo blue. I metal look. Okay. Like I said, before you start, read your bloody notes. Oh well. Sorry. Not a big.
Why do I love you? Why do you love me? Why should that be true?
So today I went and got the fixings for the airbrush experiment, which is I went and bought their. I actually didn't go to a dollar store. I went to a store. I went to Michael's. I don't know if there's a Michael's around here, but I don't know if there's a Michael's around you. But the thing is, they had a most wondrous sale on today. I gotta tell you, it was amazing. Oh my God. Well, that peacock blue is going to have to stay down there because I'm not digging that. My toner and you will not escape. You'll not escape. I will get you later. I will get you. Fear not. Bit of a spray here. Biscuit or whatever. Anyway, just the thing, if you know your color, it's easy to fit. Spray prop by 32nd of an inch or something, or a millimeter. No big deal. No big deal at all. None. Simple. A simple fix. Oh. There we go. Oh, they go. I get some texture. I did this in another drawing. It works good. Shows that it's not a really flat surface. There we go. Okay. Still, you know, it's still a little bluer than I want. Slate gray. Yes, I know I promised not to hunt. Just can't help myself. It's like an addiction. Just let me tell you, that addiction has not harmed any animals. I'll make that clear. No animals were harmed. The addiction. I'm not going to. That. Hiddenness. That's it. I can choose. Now, if I could only find 90% gray, my life would be complete. 70%? Well, we'll see. Not bad. Will do.
Me dreaming such wonderful dreams, until the day that
Now on the other side,
life was so empty it seemed.
I think I'll start off with the
Wondering if dreams do come true. You put a thrill in a heart that was still the first thrill that I ever knew. Days were so lonely and friendless. Each day for me was the same. Nights were so long and so endless, until the moment you came. You dreaming of heaven for two. You were the start of the dream in my heart. Now I can't stop dreaming of you.
Oh, that's better. Yeah, that really gets lighter over here. I'll bring that down. Nice to see one of my old students today. Young man now. Doing great. Mathematical whiz kid. He's no kid, but incredibly good in mathematics. Incredibly good. Amazing. Watched it get born. So he
remarkable baby, stop teasing me, baby. Say yes, sirree.
started out that way. But as he got older, more and more, the better he got. Amazing. Really.
Adorable baby.
What a mathematics.
When you'll be mine.
There is no question that, artists, if artists didn't, there's intent those. Why artist brushes only go up to like 12 or whatever they use. Looking at brushes today, the first time I have in a long time, because I try to stay away from brushes, because it's like an addiction, Most artists have a brush addiction. I don't know why, but it's like an addiction. You go in, the first thing you do, stores all know that who sell brushes, and they lay them out beautifully and make them so appealing. You go, oh, I can always use another brush. Yeah. Okay, well, You end up with like 1,000 of them. And what did I do today? I bought more brushes. I know. Crazy. But, them's the breaks. Not great brushes though, just touch leaf for doing this stuff. Tiny, tiny brushes. Which was dumb because, I do have a whole set sitting right here. So why do I need them? I don't know. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Anyway. But the big experiment's going to be is if this paint, I don't know, it's called creative something. I don't know. We were talking to the girl in the art section, and she said, I said, well, where's your airbrush paint? She says, we don't have any. I went, you don't have any airbrush paint? This is Michael's. And I go, no. She says, no, we have the airbrush paint. But this store over here has them. I go, well, I'm not at that store. Come on. Airbrush paint. How the hell can you not have airbrush paint? Turns out, like, airbrushing's dying. It's dying. And, I mean, in a way it's sad, but in a way it's... In a way it's kind of weird, because every person who uses Photoshop, in fact, knows the airbrush function. So it's not like it's dying in terms of usage, because people use it every day in Photoshop. But an actual airbrush, yeah, they're cooked. And if it wasn't for like the little stores that do nails and stuff like that, I don't think they'd even sell them anymore. Or temporary tattoos and stuff like that. Because really, nobody's buying it. Like the whole store, no airbrush paint. Said, holy Moses, I mean, what the hell is going on?
You don't know half the good you do me. Other boys bore me, they just leave me blue. But why am I so romantic?
And it kind of just happened because I was in the store at Christmas time. They had like all the stuff, airbrushes, everything. So I'm wondering what's going on. Then I realized that, like, they're not even teaching airbrushing anymore. Now, be that, when I'm saying that to you, you're not going to get any fine artists crying themselves to sleep. Because there was always a real prejudice against airbrush. It was considered commercial, so a true artist didn't need an airbrush. That kind of crap, So, like, I never learned airbrushing when I was in art school. It was beneath them. If you really want to go to that, then you go downstairs and join the commercials. The commercial. Okay, I get it. You don't want to hear airbrush. So I basically had to teach everything I did myself, to be honest with you. And my art teacher never used an airbrush in her life. It just was considered no. But again, with the advent of people doing online, or not online, but using Photoshop to paint with and all these other programs, they're in huge use and demand. But in fact, I use it online when I'm doing something I need to fix. But the actual airbrushing itself, no, gonzo. So in a way, it's too bad because you're doing drawing, like for instance, of this picture here with this background. This background, I could have painted this background in, and it would have taken me, probably an hour. With an airbrush, you can do it like in 15 minutes. And not only that, it does a really good job. So I don't really know. It's just, I think it's because it's just not being taught. Nobody's teaching it, so who's using it? That's the thing. Like, I know a few artists who were really good airbrushers. And they were fine artists too. But it's kind of sad in a way because a lot of people who are trying to learn art are going to find out that, like, get that background in. Yeah, to me, it's just a matter of time. It isn't a matter of whether I can do it. They're going to have some pictures. Matter of fact, one of the young artists on Twitch here, I heard her exclaim, I'm terrible at backgrounds. I know exactly what she means. Backgrounds are tough. You have the right color combination. You have to have the light just subtly change, and it's not easy. And it'll make or break your painting. You don't think so? Look at the Mona Lisa with a hot pink background. You know what I mean? That's dealing with. And I don't know. Making them, there's a few relics of. You know what's going to happen? And this is my prediction. This is just my prediction, but I think this is what's going to happen. That all the kids doing, and I say kids up to the age, 25 or whatever, who are doing, and I mean fabulous digital work. At some point in time, we're going to start saying, well, I'd like to make a little bit of money doing this. Like, no longer just my hobby. I'm doing this. I want to make money. And they're going to run up. They're going to run into a brick wall. And that wall is called the original art wall. And, yeah, it might look amazing on a 4K TV. But for the people who want something to hang on their wall, believe it or not, that doesn't go away. People still want pictures to hang up on the wall. You don't put a 1080p or 4K TV in every room in your house. But you can put pictures on the wall in every room in your house. And they're going to find out. People go, yeah, I love it. Where's the original? Where's that? It doesn't exist. It's a file. They're going to say, no, if you can give me the original, I want to buy it. That young Polish girl, she does it, and the originals, yeah, she's got buyers. So it's not like it hasn't started to happen. Somebody wanted, I think it was something to do with Lord of the Rings. He did a magnificent job on it. And it was a commission. And whoever ordered it, yeah, he wanted to hang it on the wall. See where I'm going with that? And You can't do it except on digital. You're going to have a problem when you want to make money. I don't mean you're going to have a problem artistically. You'll have a problem eventually when you need to make the money to put it on the wall. Somebody says, I'll commission you. No, I don't want it as a digital. I want it on the wall. I want to hang it. Oh, can't. The print. Oh. And you're going to start hearing, no thank you. No, I want that, but I want it. And when that happens, there's going to be an awful lot of disappointed people out there. And it's happens. And it's happening now. It's just going to gather steam. Because as young people move into become older people, they don't want digital. They want a painting on the wall. And if they can't get it, they want it. The minute you can't get it is the minute they're going to want it even more. So, what my suggestion is have all the fun you want, but you better learn how to do that stuff so it's an original piece that you can sell. That's just my opinion. But I'm seeing it as we speak, happening. And it's not huge by any means yet, but it'll only get worse and worse and worse for the people who just do the digital stuff. And I'm not trying to make a slight against people who do digital stuff. I think I'm just watched 1,000 images there, and I just went, whoa, man, oh man, are they good? And they are, but none of them are available, except as a poster. I don't want a poster. That's what you're going to hear. I don't want that. I want an original piece. I want to be the only guy who owns that painting. And what are you going to say? Well, sorry. And the money in the pocket of the guy is going to walk right out the door. Now, this may not mean much to you right now, but I got to tell you, will come a time when it will mean a lot to you. Maybe not now. It's coming. Sooner or later, people want their own homes, and some people don't want a car. That's okay. If you live on a transit line, you don't need a car. But sooner or later, it happens. Now, here, little chainmail sucker. Tighten them. I want to put some white in where I want extra. Not even with a really fine tip. I'm not. 2 tones. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I know I'm going to go in with some whites on the light blue chainmail. And if I leave the black, it'll just bleed. You can do chainmail this small with Prismacolor, but you have to make it bigger. This is really small. So you kind of outstretch the boundaries of your it's the same thing as if you decide to do a watercolor and you want to make it 3 feet by 4 feet. It just doesn't work. You got the wrong medium. And it's called outrunning your medium. And not much you can do about it. That's the way it is. It's the way perception works. So you got to know that ahead of time and know what you're going to do. You can't go in the middle of your drawing and go, oh geez, that's not working. What'll happen is it'll screw you up. And I mean that. You got to plan that stuff through.
You know, I like the way you did that number.
You mean it?
Yes, sir. And I mean it when I say...
You can get a micro point and really make the...
And here's why.
Right.
First, the Dodge Safety Steel body. Stronger and sturdier than ever before. Second, genuine hydraulic brakes. And third, safety beam headlights. Believe me, you're certainly safe in a Dodge.
Say, what is this, Frank? I thought you refused to say anything about the new 1936 Dodge.
I was only fooling.
Well, don't fool me about singing another song.
I won't.
Now this also allows you to, it also allows you the latitude of correcting an error, because you can always go back in with paint or white ink. Want literally fix a problem. So what I'm trying to say is give yourself options, Always give yourself some options. Because those options are what make things...
I beheld her and was conquered at the
will make things easier for you, because you're not stuck. And you don't want to be stuck. So think... I guess what I'm saying to you is, think it through. Plan the whole thing. Part of art is planning, I've never met an artist really, except guys who think or decide they're modern artists, just throw paint on a canvas and go, oh, isn't that genius? Anyway, that's a different topic.
That point completely until the big affair began. Before I knew where I was at.
But you plan it through, like you plan everything. Keep harping back to John Constable in the Hay Wain. I don't know if you've bothered to look at it. He's considered one of the greatest English 19th century landscape artists who ever lived. And you know what? They're right. He is. He's just so far heads above anybody else that it's just ridiculous. The guy was an amazing talent. And lots of his paintings are available to see. Because he never left England, as far as I know. So all his paintings are in England. So they didn't get lost like they did in Germany and France and places where the war touched them. But so you can actually go and you can see them. But the reason I'm telling you this isn't that. The reason I'm telling you this is because what a lot of people don't know is that Constable wasn't the greatest draftsman in the world. And what I mean by that is that he knew his own limitations. He was fabulous with sunsets and trees and everything. But when it came to some stuff, he knew he wasn't that good. Or, sorry, I shouldn't rephrase that. He was that good, but he couldn't really draw it very well. But he could paint it as like a master. So he knew his limitations that way. So what he did was, knowing that, he this painting, the Hay Wain, there's the central part of the painting is this wagon of hay, and the wagon of hay is crossing like a very shallow little river right by like a mill or something, and it's full of hay. So it's painted so beautifully that you really, it's just a masterpiece. Anyway, he knew he did not possess the drafting skills to get the wagon exactly the way he wanted it. So he got a friend of his, another artist, to come in and draft it for him. Nothing wrong with that. Nobody said boo. He painted it. He just didn't draw it. And the answer is, who cares? You gotta know your limitations, but you also know your strengths, right? You've got like the painting of your life going on, and you know you're not very good at something. Don't be afraid to get somebody else to give you a hand. I mean, if it was good enough for Constable, it should be good enough for anybody. That's what I'm saying. So you're in good company. Because remember, nobody even knew about that till they read his notes years later. So it's not as if they went, "Oh, here we thought it was a masterpiece, but it's not. He didn't do the wagon." No, nobody said anything like that. Oh God, I know. It doesn't happen. Oh God. Can you imagine? If you had said that at the time, they probably would have thrown you out. Gallery, anyway. That's what I'm telling you about. It gives it a little bit of when your heart is blue, the whole day long, just smile and keep on. Now I'm going to when I'm painting, I'm going to highlight some of these because they look flat a little bit right now. And what I'm going to do is highlight through and that'll make it the shadows appear. I'm not going to bother trying to do it with the Prisma, because what will happen if I do it with the Prisma, it'll smear it a little bit. And all that'll mean is I got to go back in and unsmear it. So that is not going to happen. I don't want to do that. What I'm saying is you pick your battles. You can't win it when it's stacked against you like that. You can't outrun your medium. Simple. Even now, I have to have the end of the pencil like it's a needle. There we go. Chainmail. Chainmail. Let there be chainmail. I'm going to move that shadow up a little. Now there's a little bit of leather between the mail and that thing there, so I'm just going to do a little bit of leather. So I'm going to get some browns and some yellow. And brown. I'm going to ochre it first. A line over here, top of it. There we go. Now,
he holds her in his arms. Would you? He tells her of her charms. Would you?
okay.
They met as you and I, and they were only friends. But before the story ends, he'll kiss her with a sigh. Would you?
Now, I made a note there. It was old leather, but I'm going to make it quite so gray and grayed out. I'm going to brighter. Make it a little bit. Just a little luck. Da, 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 da. Now there's leather on the other side too, but not very much. Very, very little line of it here. Indicate there's a buffer.
You are listening to Radio Dismuke.
There we go. Very good. So now I'm looking at the other side of chainmail armor. And actually this is a little bit more, well, it's a tad more complicated. And the reason I say that is the chainmail comes down to here, and this comes up to the arm, and then this is in the background. So it's a little bit of a sweep. So it's a little bit different, but not to be outdone. I'm going to give it the old college try, so they say. Now, in this particular case, I'm going to put I'm going to put the male darker color. Ray, I don't know if it's working too. No, it's not. So I'll have to go a bit later. Open for that one. No. Oh, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Who can remember Tiny Tim singing Tiptoe Through the Tulips? Yeah, I bet. Why? Well, he got married on the Johnny Carson show, which was the Jay Leno show before. He was a freak. Tiny Tim sang this song. It was his hit song, Tiny Tim, Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And he was just a total freak. He used to hang around Greenwich Village and play in the coffee houses. Everybody knew him. And then what happened was, there was a show on called Laugh-In. I want to know Laugh-In. Have you ever heard of Goldie Hawn? That's where Goldie Hawn goes. Ronan Martin's comedians. And they heard about this guy. They brought him out to the West Coast. They immediately realized that we have a genuine freak in our hand. And it wasn't that he wasn't like, he could sing. Don't get me wrong, he could sing. But he had a falsetto voice that he could use as well, which was really cool. And he used to sing Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And people just died laughing, like literally. It was a huge hit. They'd bring him out like, we have Tiny Tim here tonight. Oh God, Tiny! Ah! So what happened was that he became like a celebrity, and Johnny Carson show found out that he was planning to get married to this much younger woman. Her name was Miss Vicky. Look it up. Anyway, he says, well, Tim, why don't you get married right on our show? And he went, he was a freak, but he wasn't stupid. He went, well, I would, but it'll cost you $1 million. They went, huh? And they paid. So one of the largest audiences they ever recorded on Johnny Carson. So, no dummy. It came to money anyway. And needless to say, the marriage didn't last. Yeah. And Tiny Tim, when they canceled Ronan Martin's Laugh-In, kind of sunk into obscurity. Died a few years back. Miss Vicky's still alive. But I'm sure you can see, wondering what I'm talking about. But he's a genuine freak. He could play the violin. If you're doing chainmail, always remember that you gotta make sure you don't start doing M's and O's, not N. Try to get them not lined up, go between. Four times. What happened? He was a huge hockey fan. That was it. I remember watching Hockey Night in Canada. They go, tonight we have Tiny Tim with us. And people go, what? And he was every stat and every player, and oh man. So fan. Got finally the grudge and respect of the commentators and went like, what are you doing?
I can understand when you hold my hand.
Everything.
I don't mind you feeling thrilly, but when you start acting
hockey stats and statistics. Like in other words, he was a real follower. And needless to say, they had him back a number of times. Go figure. Go figure.
I adore you when you're gentle, but when you get sentimental, please, Mr. Hemingway.
Oh, Dad. Who the heck? Yeah, best laid. There we go. I understood. So interesting. Balls. Mysteries, you know, the great mystery. Oh. Got Roswell, New Mexico. Got the micron pen. What is with that? What are they making him? Jogging around in this industry right now. Like in the art industry. Weird, I don't know why. Prismacolor gets bought out. Andrew Newton just bought Letraset. All they wanted was their markers. Hell, I was in Michael's today. What do I see? They've come out with their own brand of water-based oils. Kid you not. You gotta be kidding me. I used to do Michael's was one of the stores I used to do demos in for Roombacher. 5 years ago or so. And I went, wow. Something new. Then I noticed they only had Winsor Newton, Artisan, and they had theirs. This in Winsor Newton, Artisan, but it's really a student grade, artist grade, water-based oil painting. Maybe that's not their market. Is
Radio Dismuke is a listener-supported service of early 1900s music preservation, a nonprofit organization devoted to bringing the great forgotten music
they know their market
to the attention of new.
But all I'm saying is, it wasn't. Winsor Newton was
and value the work that we do.
There, and
please
they were there, and
everybody
else.
Whatever degree you're able. Your contribution will not only ensure that the
They
music
didn't have any artist grade.
for your own enjoyment, you will also be passing on a priceless gift to all those who will discover this wonderful music for the first time as a result of our efforts.
It's back.
For more information, go to www.early1900s.org. That's early1900s.org.
I say Anthony. The wax you. Not at all. Anyway, gotta leave you for a second. Be back. Shall return. Greetings. Where was I?
Two cigarettes.
Investigate.
Oh, he strikes a match and the spark clearly traces, and one face is my sweetheart. And
Now I have these lights in my other studio.
obscured by the gloom, I was so close, yet so far apart. It happened that I stumbled in, right in upon the rock.
Camera in. Reminds me when I was in TV. Oh.
I love you, I love you.
Outside.
What more?
Please, then.
No.
Ow!
Cigarettes in the dark. And gone is a flame in the spark.
Yeah, we went off air. It was the mid-second. I damn my damn.
Two cigarettes in the dark. What more is there?
You know, they have, when you're on TV, they have a little air. And I hear the producer say, "Don't forget to take your sunglasses off." Okay.
I've had a heck.
Okay. Jake. Okay, Jake. I heard you.
Boy, my hat, please. My cane, my gloves. Have you a cigarette?
Really tried.
I like it, please.
I'd be in the midst of an interview or something. This would be in the studio. You'd hear 45 seconds, and I would always say to them, you know, give me at least a 2-minute warning, please, so I can sort of wrap up the line of questioning. My damn guy constantly wouldn't do it. Whether he just forgot or I don't know what the hell. And I think he knew it pissed me off or something. I don't know what his reason. Drove me nuts. Because you're interviewing somebody and you go, you got a couple of questions you want answered or whatever you want them to make, or you want them to plug their thing wherever they're on, you know, whatever they want to do, and usually have a couple of seconds, like have a minute or two. Believe it or not, it's a long time in TV, a couple of minutes, and you could adjust it, you know, like you could say. Yes, and that'll wrap up the questions. And listen, what about your gallery and who's coming? And you know, you get the chance to do that. Well, you were short that little bit of time, and drove nuts. And you have no control over it because if you go over the time, they just cut it. They'll just cut something out. So you don't have the ability to say, screw you. I want to get this in. No. And you know that, right? Anyway, honestly, you can't say anything because you're on air. So instead of me being able to go, listen, you asshole, I told you to give me 2 minutes. I knew you couldn't say anything back. Because, you know, the broadcast, they didn't know you were on the producer. Well, maybe they did, I don't know, but they didn't know they had the producer here. So, this guy he eventually had one of the executive producer meetings. I was a producer, so my show, but executive station, and we have this little meeting. Yeah, the show is this or that, or you should maybe we could consider doing some of this, more of this stuff, and I do with art. Really, it didn't. But so one time he gave a meeting, and he executive. Oh, anything you can do, mention that maybe we can even improve it more. I said, well, yeah, usually the last couple of minutes of the show, I'm very rushed. He went into like, well, you understand, we only have so many minutes. I said, oh no, I understand all that. I can time it perfectly. Not a problem. He said, well, what's the problem? I said, well, you're a line producer. Yeah. Jake, yeah. Oh, yeah. Said he refuses to give me the 2-minute warning. He finally comes in around 40 seconds to go, says you're up. Because, you can't be looking at your watch when you're doing interviews, and you also can't have a clock showing. And the reason why you can't is people get freaked out. Oh, can I get my stuff in? And they go nuts. So what happens is, you can't have a clock or anything like that showing. So you don't really know. I wouldn't even wear a watch when I was doing the show. Anyway. I said, yeah, you're the line producer. Jake absolutely refuses to give me a 2-minute. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I told him maybe 20 times. You have to give me a 2-minute warning so I can do the last rap and let them push whatever they want to push, the guest, which is the reason they're on the show to begin with. And this can go for a while. I don't remember. Long enough that it was. Oh. Okay. So I go over to the station like 2 weeks later. And I'm setting up for the show. Because what you have to do is you kind of have to decide what props you want. You get the grip, and he's doing the cables. It's easier just to go to the prop room and get the damn stuff yourself, right? So you get a new plant or something. Or just a little bit of change, people notice, right? Anyway, go in and doing my thing, program stuff, going over my notes, normal stuff. And sound guy sticks his head over and says, "You met the new producer yet?" I said, "Or not producer, your new director." I went, "My new director?" He goes, "Yeah." Jake? I said, "Yeah." He fired him. I went, "I want to get him." Now I'm kind of the end of the world. It was just like a courtesy, like Just give me my damn 2 minutes. And so I do the show with the new producer, or the new director, sorry. And all the time I'm doing the show, I've got like this sinking feeling in my stomach. Like, oh my. It kind of threw me a little bit. They didn't notice on it, because that's. So they so it's over, and that was the first opportunity I really had to interview. So say thanks very much, you did a great job, you gave me my minutes, everything went perfect. Which also was neat too. He would give you 10 seconds. I'm going to do a slight close-up. So if you want to put your hand to your chin or something, like you're really listening hard, it's all theater, right? So you'd know the timing would be right to do it. And yeah, I said, no, everything was great. Like, Jesus, I'm so happy. Like, fabulous. You gave me my lead time, and you told me when the close-ups were coming on time, and yeah, everything's great. I said to him, so you've taken over from Jake? He goes, yeah. I said, well, what happened to Jake? Inquiring minds want to know, right? So I don't know the guy, so I figured, well, I'll ask him. He doesn't really know me. I knew he knows the host of the show, but he doesn't know me. He goes, oh, yeah, things just didn't work out between. And I said, what was that all about? He says, well, there was a complaint about him not giving lead time at the end of the show. And then I knew, oh my God, it was me. Oh no. Oh no. Because these guys can badmouth you all over town. And, oh no. I said, well, I did have some problems with that, but because I want to be set up in time, I was going to great lengths to explain to him, like, the reason I complained to the guy. He goes, oh, you were one of the people. I said, yeah. Because I didn't really want to see him fired. Like, I'm glad you're here, but that wasn't my point. I wanted to have a little time. He goes, oh, no, don't worry about that. Really? He goes, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. He says, well, what do you mean? He goes, oh, you don't know. I said, no, I don't know. He goes, oh, well, the same complaint was given by the News at Noon people, the 2 other shows or something. I went, really? They went, yeah. No, I didn't know those people. The show was on different. Like, I knew them say hi, but I didn't really know them, though. And he goes, oh yeah. If you complain, yours was the last in the line. They've been complaining about it for quite some time. And I went, oh, okay. Thanks for that. Then I was home free. I went, oh, it wasn't me. I mean, I didn't dislike the guy, but just give you the courtesy on the TV, and you'd get a guest on who was really, really talkative, and I mean, the ones that froze solid really weren't a problem because you could always manage the time. It was like digging for gold to get an answer out of them. So what do you think of it? Oh, yeah. So I would have to cut the show, say, okay, listen, you have to answer the question, and you can't take 30 seconds rolling your eyes thinking about it. You have to answer it. I'm asking you questions that are just like easy answers about you, your business, or whatever. Like what you do, or they know you can't do that. So, and they would say, "Well, I'm just a little nervous. It's on." Oh, well, yeah, I understand that. I see. First of all, it's on TV, but it's on tape. It's not live TV. There's nobody out there, just the camera and the cameraman. So I said, what you got to do is pretend the camera's a toaster. And all you're doing is talking to your toaster in the morning. That usually works. I'd say 99% of the time that worked. And you never knew until they started, because sometimes people were talking your ear off, like before the show in the green room. You go and introduce yourself and tell you when they're going to be on and all this stuff. And yeah, things are going to be great, and we're going to talk about this and that. And they'd be all talkative, yeah. And that red light would come on the TV camera, and all of a sudden, dead silence. First break. Have to fix. I know now. What it was is, ran me out of time. I had brought sponsors in. I had brought Grumbacher and Heather in. Now I remember. And I had brought them in, and I wanted to give them plugs at the end of the show. And he gave me 40 seconds, and I couldn't plug that fast. Not both companies. They'd only paid for like a show, so I had to do it right away. So I had to hurry it through. Hopefully, they wouldn't get ticked off at me. Sponsors. That's what kicked it off. Yes, I knew it would come back.
He's not an angel, but I don't care. Perhaps the day will come someday. Wherever he is, I want to see his way.
Lights right in my eye.
Just what my mammy don't need a friend. My heart is
One night artist.
it won't have a band.
An artist friend used to give it to me. The world of the.
I'm like another.
Yeah, that's true.
He treats me awful each time that we meet. It's just unlawful how that boy can cheat, but I must have that man. He's hot as Hades, the ladies are safe in his arms when she's kissed. But I'm afraid that he's cooled off, and maybe I'm ruled off his list. I'll never be missed. I need that person much worse than just bad. I'm half alive and he's driving me mad.
Can't just say something.
He's only human if he's to be.
Just say. I can't say it, man. Say it.
Don't want my mammy. I don't even need.
Light was reminding me.
My heart is broken. It ain't ever gonna mend. I ain't much caring just where I will end. I must have that man.
So I explained why I'm using the micro.
I'm like an oven.
Try to get in with the Prisma.
He treats me perfectly terrible each time we ever meet on the street.
Mine didn't matter.
How that big boy can cheat, but I must have that man.
I'm sure I could take a couple hours and get no need. Does the same.
But I'm afraid that he's cooled off.
I think all those crazy, idiotic contests are finally have run their course. Like Prismacolor would put it on and show us, can use Prismacolor to do it. And play for months on these. So interesting. They were amazing. But I knew often they had to go over certain areas, honestly. Especially in micros. Really.
I need that person much worse than just that. I'm half alive and he's driving me mad. He's only
Never really understood it. Like, artists are starving.
one thing I know.
The prizes were always like, not money. They were more always like, so many, Prismacolor pencils. You get so many pencils and like doing all this work for some pencils. If they were paying you, I would understand it. But no, or the prize money would be so small. I go, why are you bothering? Go figure. You think I'm going to do a painting for 6 months to get like 132 pence? I think so.
When Washington and Cleveland fall in line, we're going to win again another.
I don't think so. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not. Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about is something I just kind of, I don't know if you call it research anyway, about the great artist Caravaggio, who truly changed art probably 100 years, well, not 100 years. Well, years and years and years. He influenced more artists than Flanders has. And they would come just to see his work. Now, the trouble with Caravaggio, a crazy man. And, but my God, could he. The reason he painted so well is because of his treatment of light. Amazing, amazing artist. Look him up, you'll see what I mean. And painted till about 1510 or something. Sorry, 1610. 16. And he died when he was 39 years old of a fever. And there's no records of who taught him, really, and or if he had a school like Titian did. You know, there's none of that. He's a mystery man. All we really have is his art and the records from the courts. So now you're wondering, what the hell do I mean by records from the courts? Well, at the time in Rome, it was against the law to walk around with a sword. It had been since Roman times, always against the law. Nothing had changed. Caravaggio insisted that he would always go out. Anytime he had to go out, he would go out armed, sword, and get arrested. But see, he had such his patronage. People who bought his paint, they were painting so good that they'd call a cardinal or something, and they would get him out of jail and get him into trouble. This went on and on and on for many years in Rome. So finally, he wounded a guy. Nobody knows the details of it. Wounded a guy. And the guy died. Wounded him with a sword, and the guy died. Well, they were coming for him. In other words, you were under arrest for murder. You know you're not supposed to. Anyway, he hightailed it out of Rome. Remember, now Rome Italy in those days was like city-states. Garibaldi had not unified all of Italy. So you kind of, if you were in Rome, it was one thing, but if you were in Naples, it's different. He hightailed it out of there, and he roamed around Naples and Ostia a number of years. And then what happened was he appears again in Malta. And the only known information on him is that they made him a Order of the Knights of St. John, which was Order of the Knights, Malta, which was, to be honest with you, it was a pretty big deal. But Caravaggio, incorrigible, he ran into trouble in Malta. So they took off, and he had a ton. Actually, what they think is that he needed a bunch of paint in Malta for the powers that be, right? And what they did to reward him was not only give him sanctuary, but also make him a knight of Malta. So he paid for it with his paintings. He was that good. He really, everybody knew who Caravaggio was, because to have his work was considered like top of the top. Yeah. And when he painted, artists would show up from Flanders and from France just to see his technique of using light. And he also was a guy who kind of started gestural art. In other words, there could be a grimace or a look, and it made the painting lifelike, because people weren't just sort of like stone-faced. They were they had life, like expression in their faces. And he was the kind of the guy who started all that up. So he was considered like the guy, the man, so to speak. And he painted large. He always painted in oil. As far as people know, he may have done some. But you see what happens when he started doing the cardinals, and I think he even did some for the Pope. Bishops and monsignors and all these people who were aligned with the church would call him like nonstop, saying, well, we want you to come and do the family tomb, and we want you to do this. So he had work coming out his ears. But he didn't live a long time. He died when he was 39 years old. So he, while he was alive, he was always in demand. So he lands in Malta, and everything's good until he gets into trouble again. For same old. And he flees to Naples. And the minute he gets off the boat in Naples, he's arrested. And he's going like, whoa, wait a minute now. Hold on. I'm in Naples. I've done nothing in Naples. There's no reason for you can arrest me, and on. Anyway, what happens was, believe it or not, it was a case of mistaken identity. And they, now that's what it says. Now, maybe somebody intervened. Just isn't, as I said, that much known about him. He gets out of the jail, and he looks for the boat with the crew and all his paintings on it. Well, they're long gone. So he's destitute. This is 1510 now. So what happens is, he catches a fever, and he dies. And he gets completely buried in history. And I mean, not just buried, completely buried in history. And what I mean by that simply is, nobody even knew who the hell Caravaggio was 200 years ago. He was long forgotten. Then he was rediscovered in the 19th century, and people immediately remarked about, this guy is unbelievable. Look at this. And then I think it was in 1951 there was a huge show, Caravaggio's work. Show was organized, and he was recognized as one of the greatest masters who ever lived. And now, well, if you owned a Caravaggio, so what happened was he simply had sort of languished in obscurity with his paintings. Nobody really knew who he was for many, many moons. But no more. He's recognized as one of the greats ever lived. And rightfully so, frankly. Rightfully so. Because if you look at his work, it's breathtaking. You just cannot believe that a man could treat light like that. He was the Rembrandt of his age. And the reason he fell into obscurity was that the style he painted in was considered antique. So about within 50 years after his death, he sort of drifted into obscurity, and he stayed there. So that would be like 1660, 1670. And it stayed that way for like 300 years. Now, one of the reasons I'm telling you this story is, you know how many paintings out there are by people who really could paint like unbelievable stuff, and they don't have an I can't talk tonight. Attribution. So what happens is they nobody really knows anything about them. The other one out there, kind of, which is an interesting take on historical was Artemisia Gentileschi. Now her father, Orazio Gentileschi, was and always has been considered a great master. No question about it. And one of the reasons for that is that not only was he really sought after as a fresco painter in Florence, but he also ended up as court painter for Charles I or something in England. So like, there's a lot of his paintings around. People know who he was, and he's considered a really gifted artist from those times, 1600s. So what happens is he has a daughter, and her name is Artemisia Gentileschi. And up until, well, recently actually, nobody knew who the hell Artemisia Gentileschi was. Nobody. All her works had been attributed to her father, Orazio Gentileschi. Now, for years, art historians had known that seemed to be a slight different hand in a lot of the pictures, but the provenance in the pictures was so ironclad that there was no way. So they just made an assumption that, oh, it was one of his students that helped them on the picture and all this stuff, on the painting. And there was no reason to think different. You know, that was just the way it was. I mean, that wasn't unusual by any means. So everything went along just fine until somebody really started looking in researching him, and they noticed this portrait that was done of a woman painting. It was a self-portrait of a woman painting, and also the head of Holofernes was also one of the paintings they thought was Orazio's. But they finally realized that the hand was consistently different. Consistently different. So they didn't know what to make of it, frankly. And so what happened was they started doing some digging. And they dug into the records of Florence that were all still available and are to this day, of Artemisia, or of like the courts and whatnot. And lo and behold, just by chance, they come across this trial of an artist, another well-known artist from that period, whose name was Tazzi. Now, Tazzi is known in the art world because he was the guy who or he was the forerunner. I don't know if he invented it, but he was one of the forerunners who invented perspective in landscape. And what I mean by that is that he, up until Tazzi, T-A-Z-Z or S-S-I-M, I can't remember. That's the name. And what happened was that artists in those days would paint a landscape like in your peripheral vision. And if your peripheral vision was, like 160 or 170 degrees, they would get everything in complete, everywhere you look from side. It was like a panoramic shot. And that's how we did it. They did it. And it wasn't natural. People knew it wasn't natural, but that's the way it was done, right? So what happened was Tazzi figured out that you could, if you set up like a grid and just look through the grid and just paint what was in the grid, what would happen is you would get, like if you hold your fingers up like this, you'd only paint what was inside here, and right here. So you didn't paint, oh no, there we go. You didn't paint all over the place, you just painted what was inside the grid. Well, this freed up artists instantly by going, oh, great, if there's a boatway over there, I don't have to put that in there anymore. I can just concentrate on what the eye focuses on. Completely changed art. Completely. And there was a commission that was granted. And it was big. A big commission. And they needed 2 artists. Well, the lead artist was Tazzi. And he went to Florence, and he knew Gentilisi. And oh God, he knew Gentilisi. And this is where Artemisia Gentilisi comes in. One of the few female artists to gain recognition in her time. Like in the 1600s, and rightly so, by the way. Anyway, what happens is Gentilisi, girls her age, like when they were like 15, they'd send them to live in a convent so to keep them safe. That's the way it was. Anyway, so what happened was she got old enough that Gentilisi wanted her to go into to get into the guild, the Painters Guild, and become an artist in her own right, because he realized just how good she was, and she was good. I mean, real good. And they refused to let her in. He was so enraged. What he did was he told him to screw off, and he would train her. And it was a big stink. But anyway, he trained her completely as like a student of that art period. And that's why the hand was so similar. That's what it was. And the consequence of that is that her style was very close to her father's. But that's not what identified her. That isn't what did. It was the digging in the historical record that did it. And the historical record showed that there had been a really, really nasty trial. And when I say nasty, I mean nasty. And she was kind of like caught up in it through no fault of her own. So you assume maybe she was like 16. And Tatsy seduced her. And she didn't become pregnant or anything like that, not according to the records. But she no longer was a virgin bride. So the reason why Artemisia Gentilisi sued Cassie was for damages. The fact that he couldn't marry her off to a nobleman or anything like that. So that's what happened. And he won. But the one who got all the grief was Artemisia. Yeah, they talk about winning. They tortured her to get the confession out of her. Even though she was telling the truth, they tortured her to make sure she was telling the truth. And it turns out, now Tatsy was a much older man too. But it turns out that the court heard that Tatsy already was married to somebody, I think he was in Venice or something. So this was out of wedlock, so he was instantly guilty in the eyes of the church at the time. So he was convicted and thrown in jail, and he served a year or something, and then he got out, and nobody knows what happened to him after that. They only know his artwork. There's no more records of Tatsy. So what happens is that Artemisia, in the meantime, basically becomes her father's assistant. And being her father's assistant, she helps him with all his commissions. And so you fast forward to the 19th century, and the 20th century, and they find these records in the Florentine archives. Go, who the hell is Artemisia Gentilisi? Then all of a sudden the penny drops and goes, oh my God, it's not Orazio or Gentilisi who did these paintings. It's not a student, it's his daughter. And the self-portrait was his daughter's, what her portrait was, what she looked like. Ta-da! Man, talking about a bit of sleuth work going on there, right? And now they had to reevaluate all of Artemisia's works and figure out which ones were his daughter's and which ones were his, and they did. And what happens is they finally got all that done, and then they start searching the records again if there's any record of her, like commissions and stuff like that. Can't find anything, but they know she painted her whole life. And the reason they know that, her father, when he was much older man, was hired by Charles, I think it was Charles the First or Second, become court painter in his court in London, in England. And he has some commissions that they want done, and he just can't get them all done. And he writes to his daughter, Artemisia, to come to England and help him. And apparently she agrees. And that's the last anybody ever hears of Artemisia Gentileschi. She disappears completely into history. And fascinating story because of the fact that, here's somebody they found, artwork they found. And in addition to that, they not only did they find the artwork, but they found out who the artist was, and a fascinating story, and the fact that it was Tatsy who was the culprit in it, who kind of changed art in a way with this new methodology. And it's kind of cool. Anyhow, I'm going to give it about another 15 minutes. Get this done. I was thinking of getting the sword done tonight. We'll see. We shall see. Because as I said, after this, I'm going to do an acrylic of the man in the golden helmet. Got an itch I have to scratch, which is the man in the golden helmet. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do, mate. That's a little bit too bright. Let's go back to sharpen it. Got these like leather gloves on or something. Arm guards or whatever the hell they are. I don't know. Anyway. They are what they are. They are what they are. I hope you guys heard the last of the story about Artemisia Gentileschi, because I just finished it. One of the great masters of the 16th century who rediscovered, and who happened to be a female. Can you imagine? Wow. Not to say that there isn't some great female artists, but you can imagine. I should tell you too why that they didn't allow the female artists is because in those days you couldn't paint like the nude form of a female, and a female certainly couldn't paint the nude form of a male, and therefore you're kind of screwed, blued, and tattooed, if you know what I mean. And that's kind of why, like for instance, you can see examples of this everywhere. Like if you look at Michelangelo's work, you see that the women look like they're bodybuilders, only they've got mammary glands, and the reason for that is because they couldn't use female models. Not in the altogether anyway. So what they did is they used male models and made them female. That's what they did. And the consequence was you get all these pictures of males who are, or females that you go, wow, what happened there? And that's what it was. Simple, but that's what it was. I mean, you wouldn't believe the rules. You don't believe how crazy it was. Like, if you want to know how crazy it was, look up, I think it's Antonio Savanella. I know it's Savanella. I don't remember if it's Antonio. Anyway, he took over in Rome, and he was so crazy. He had people burned alive and burned at the stake and hung, and oh my God. If you said hi to him the wrong way, you were a blasphemer and you needed to go to hell. You were going to go to hell, and maybe he was going to send you there right away. Anyway, it took about, you can imagine, it took about 2 years before they overthrew him and burned him at the stake. He was so crazy that, but he was the word of God in Rome. Savanella. The trouble with history is it's so crazy that, people go, couldn't have been. You know what? Just when you think it's too crazy, it's crazier. It really is. Like Savanella? Madman. Yeah, he was a priest or whatever, a bishop or no, he's a priest. But he literally ran Rome like he was God and that was his fiefdom. And that's how he did it. And man, number of people that were killed and died, and just terrible. But that was the times, Just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, it gets crazier. Now you know why there was a law against carrying a sword in Rome. No wonder. There would have been like 1,000 murders a night if people had been able to arm themselves. Hell, even the Romans do that. The only ones who can carry swords in ancient Rome were like the capital contingent of the army that kept law and order. It wasn't a mystery why the Romans built houses the way they did. With high walls and you couldn't get in, and only one door to the street. And yeah, no kidding. But, it wasn't that much different 100 years ago in a lot of places. You don't believe me? Read about Chicago in the 20s. The people finally got pissed off. Just said, enough's enough. This is like an open city for gangsters. And it was so crooked that all the politicians had been bought off. And, oh man, just terrible. But they, and believe me, don't believe everything you hear about Elliot Ness. He was a weasel of the first order. I mean, just a weasel. made me laugh. They used to have a TV show with Elliot Ness years ago. From the files of the FBI. Yeah, right. Elliot Ness was nuts. He was worse than some of the criminals. But it was open season, Chicago, so it wasn't as if this has not happened. I remember one time watching one of those shows, you know, like on TV, and they say, well, what do you think this is? So I saw this thing, and it was a high collar that went around like right up to here and down to here. It went around and it strapped at the back of the neck. No, sorry, it strapped at the... No, it strapped at the back of the neck. And you could tell it was worn around the neck, but nobody could figure out what the hell was it for. Well, what it was for the gentry who decided they wanted to go out in London for the evening. And they would wear those under their capes or coats. And it was to stop somebody coming up behind them and cutting their throat, steal their money. That was London in the 19th century, or the 1900s. Go figure that one out. Like, whoa. It's a little strange. What about the police? What police? There's no police. Eventually they had Robert Peel, you know, who did the Robert Peel, ergo Bobbies, you know. They eventually did that, but to protect the population, you know. But prior to that, no, it was open season. And it was like that almost everywhere. I mean, you went with an armed escort, or you took your life into your own hands, or you went out with a group. Nobody went out alone. Now look. Looks okay. I'd say. Yes, I think it looks like. Just wondering, should I highlight it a little bit more? And maybe just through the middle here.
Well, tell me, did you
Artemisia Gentilisi. I'd like to say her name. It sounds like musical. Gentilisi. Artemisia. That'll bring you right up to the 1930s, when there was a movement called the it was called not artistic. Well, it translates from German as a degenerate art. It was deemed by Hitler, that it was degenerate art, and Picasso was in that. Paul Klee. Oh man, some really famous artists. Max. What's his face? Max. Losing it. Anyway, Hitler decided that Hitler was an artist, a watercolorist. So what he did was he had his very, very clear-cut ideas of what he thought was art and what wasn't art. Otto Dix was another one, famous World War I artist. Kaczynski, the Russian artist, he was one. Anyway, all their art was confiscated. Everything they had was confiscated by the Nazis. Now you may think, oh, they just wanted to resell it. No, not at all. Hitler said it was degenerate. It was degenerate art. And something Kunst. I can't remember the name. Anyway, Kunst is art in German. Degenerate artists.
Radio Dismuke is a listener-supported service.
Anyway, these guys never worked again. A lot of them, and some of them committed suicide, and some of them started doing other things. But they were well-known artists. These guys, well-known, and the style was developed kind of like in the 20s. And it was very popular. It was impressionistic art. So what happened was, they confiscated all the art they get their hands on, and they started up shows all over Germany and any place that Germany had was in charge. And they would have these art shows, and they would tell people to come in to see degenerate art and make fun of it and say, look how disgustingly bad this stuff is and how junk it is. And they would do it just like a regular art gallery. Oh, Jesus. So this went on and on, all through the Second World War. And unfortunately, tons and tons of art disappeared, completely disappeared. And most think destroyed by the Nazis. So the stuff they weren't showing was destroyed. And some of the artists escaped to Switzerland. Picasso escaped to Spain. Spain not being in the war, as you know, in the Second World War. Portugal the same. And they just ran with the clothes on their back. And unfortunately, all this artwork, tons and tons and tons of artwork, was destroyed. Jesus, now I find it. Tons and tons of this art was destroyed. Entartre Kunst, that's it. Entartre Kunst. Degenerate art. And you can look it up in Google and you can judge for yourself. But I'll tell you, Hitler was in the minority there on that one. But it was terrible what they did. And there was a couple of hundred artists that were in. Now, to my knowledge, nobody ever was executed or anything like that. I'm not aware of anything like that happening. But their work was vilified, just literally vilified. And it was particularly bad for some guys like Otto Dix, who a lot of his paintings were reflections of what life was like in the First World War from the German perspective in the trenches, which you would have thought Hitler would have said, yeah, that's kind of what it was like. No, not a hope, not a hope, not a hope. And so they were all vilified like this, and some of them were able to survive, and others never survived. And a lot of the work they thought destroyed There was a guy whose father was one of the ministers or whatever the hell they were, the designation was, in the Wehrmacht, who was part of this. And unbeknownst, I guess, to the authorities, he was keeping a lot of this art. And wouldn't you know it, when his son died, and his son died not long ago, I would say like within the last 5 years or so, when they went into his apartment, there was about 100 paintings in there. And they were all by the Antarctic Kunst. The art they thought was destroyed was actually still there. And he just had never said anything to anybody that he had it. And it was recovered. And a lot of it's on view to see now. But he only kept the paintings. But the problem is that a lot they took all their total collections, like everything they had, and a lot of them had artwork they'd collected from previous times or earlier times of really, really famous artists. And the clerks that did this, and they were all the Air Force under Hermann Göring. They were all Luftwaffe clerks that took all this stuff in, and to them, as long as it was that, then it was junk and it was burned. And but they burned stuff that these guys, like their Albrecht Dürer stuff, and they just did, as long as it was in the collection, they just assumed that it was contraband, so to speak, and they burned it. Literally. And the paintings, a lot of them were kept. And it's a terrible loss. But that didn't happen like in the 16th century. That happened in 70 years ago. So it's not what I'm trying to say to you is it doesn't go away, like this terrible prejudice, like and it wasn't religious or anything like that, or nothing. It was just the fact that Hitler decided that it wasn't really art. It was junk. Because he was a master of what he thought was great art. And yeah, he loved the old masters and all that stuff and stole them by the thousand. But, there's reports that the French, knowing that the Hitler had skirted the Maginot Line as a contingency, had every painting in the Louvre reproduced. Every painting. And when the Germans came in to help themselves, what they were taking was reproductions. Now that's been a rumor for years. I've never actually seen the proof of it or anything like that, and nor do I ever expect to. And beyond the reason being that if you find out that 30% of the paintings in the Louvre are fakes because they were never recovered, or somebody else took them, or they were put somewhere for safety that nobody ever will find them. Maybe they're in a Swiss vault somewhere. Who knows? It happens, Then you'll never hear of them again. So the mystery is there. Like it's not like it. like there's not a arc's like a gigantic detective story, you know. That's why I come down on the art historians so hard. Because a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. They prove it over and over and over again. Now the Russians, they moved everything out of the Hermitage to the other side of the Urals, out of range of Hitler and his henchmen. So the stuff you get out of the Hermitage, you're pretty well guaranteed is the real deal. And all that stuff out of the Hermitage was collected really by Catherine the Great. She was the great art collector. And she had money to burn, obviously, because she was the Tsarina of Russia. And she lived a long time. And she wasn't Russian. She was Austrian. She happened to marry the Tsar, who was a dimwit. As a young girl, it was an arranged marriage. And when he died, she took over. And Russia went through a period of great prosperity under her. And one of the things was that they had, they would go to Holland and buy up tons of artwork, like collection after collection, you know, of people maybe had acquired it and fallen on hard times and whatnot. Who knows? There's no hard times for her. And it all went into the Hermitage. That was her palace. The Hermitage. They say there's more art in the Hermitage than in the Louvre, the Pravda, combined. A lot of stuff hasn't even been recorded, apparently. So someday we're going to find out, you know what, there's a whole bunch of this or that, you know, like, can you imagine? Wouldn't that be amazing? They already know where one shipment is, in the bottom of the Baltic. And it was, they know exactly what's on the ship, too, which is amazing, because all the records survived. The ship went down in a storm. But the thing is that it sunk in fairly shallow water. Well, not shallow water, but where you can still get to it. And they did try to get to it, apparently, with diving bells and stuff like that way back in the day. But they couldn't really get anything. The water was too cold. So what they did was, it was left, and they found the ship about 10 years ago now. Found it. And when they found it, a cursory quick check, because the water is so cold, showed that there was very, very little rot or anything. And the reason is the water is so cold and so dense that you don't have toreador beetles and stuff like that. Like barnacles that chew away things. And the oxygen in the water is extremely low. And it's the oxygen that rots stuff. And they're assuming that, if it was on its way to Russia, it would have been packed, which it probably was, packed really, really well. So they're thinking that, you know what, it's possible. There's Rembrandts down there and Van Dykes, and they know what's in the boat, but there's a bit of a political problem regarding it, because Russia's claiming it's theirs. Of course they would. And Norway's going, no, it's in our waters. So there's legal entanglements. But when all that gets sorted out, my guess is you're going to see, if the paintings are still intact, the greatest collection of paintings ever that has been seen at one time. All guaranteed authentic, and it'll be something else. And honestly, I can hardly wait. I mean, Jesus, can you imagine? Can you only imagine what's down there? Well, they know what's down there, but I mean, to see that stuff after all these years? So let's keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully, it's all still intact. Now, of course, you've got your experts that go, no, the oil paints. Well, oil paint's funny that way. Oil paint's almost indestructible in a low oxygen environment. I mean, paintings have lasted centuries and centuries if they're done in oil, and all of these are oil paintings, all of them. And it's going to be really cool if they can get them. I don't know if they can, but if they can, it will be amazing. I told you I shortcutted this. Well, I'm paying for it now. Oh, no.
So love, what fiesta is everywhere. It brings romance. Come get your share. Bringing happiness to everyone.
They can still see the top of the paper. That means there isn't enough down here. Apply a little bit more pressure. No. That's not going to work. I'm not too worried about it, simply because it's the arm, and I've got lots of, which is why the it was so important to get so many layers down on here, because you don't kind of lose that, eh?
She didn't say yes, she didn't say
I know.
She didn't say stay, she didn't say go.
Oh.
You got to get her there. And
then she knew he sat beside her there.
I don't know what it is, but all day today I thought it was Monday. Don't ask me why. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason I thought it was Monday all day.
So what did she do? I'll leave it to you.
How do you figure that? It happens to me sometimes. I lose track of the days, you know. Like, it's not a problem. It's just that it's weird. What day is it? I don't know. Is it Monday? No, it's not. It's Sunday. Oh. Oh. And it's Sunday. I kind of go and... But I'm quite happy because I'll tell you, I found the entire collection of James Burke's Connections. I don't know if you ever heard of that show. It's been a while now since it... I don't even know if he's still alive. But anyway, he did this show called Connections. And let me tell you something. It is unbelievable. If you like, find out about the world and the history, watch that show. There's 3 seasons, Connections 1, 2, and 3. And then they stopped making them. I don't know why. No clue. But regardless, shows are really, really good. I watched one last night.
Radio Dismuke is now on Facebook. Find us at facebook.com/Radio Dismuke.
They had me last night. I turn off my computer and all this stuff, and I come into the studio here, and I sit down to look at this, and I go, okay, I got to do that. And still, yeah, okay. So I've got Chromecast, and the Chromecast has got an art lecture on about an artist, and this woman she did so well that I watched the show for a whole hour. Like it was an hour. It was actually more than an hour. I only caught the last hour. But man, she knew her subject. I'll tell you. I was just spellbound. Interesting. Of course, I tell you that, but that's not unusual because if it's about art, I just listen. It is like an addiction. I don't know. Like I know I don't really mean it's an addiction about and how they did things because. I've been studying that my whole life, and I know how to paint like they did and all that stuff. And I know all of that, really. Well, I don't know all of it, but I know a good portion of it. And, but it's the personal stuff they dig up, something about the artist. I find it very interesting. And I guess I'm the only one who really does in my family. I mean, not with the allure of ice road truckers and stuff, I mean, really. How do you compete with ice road truckers, right? Like how? It's nobody else but you. Wanna be loved by you. Do, 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 do. Doing a bit of adjustment. Something, catches your eye, you go, oh, well, I should just we'll adjust that a bit, yeah. Da 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 da. Da da. Da 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 da. Dun, 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 dun. Do, 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 do. Oh, she looking fine.
Come on, baby, shake your feet. I don't care for opera's grand, but when my sweetie says, hold my hand, that's what I call sweet music. Ba-doodle-la-da-da-dee-dee. Classic songs I never will miss, but when my sweetie says, come, let's kiss, that's what I call sweet music. But I know that all the little birds, the bees up in the trees, sing melodies, but the pretty songs they sing don't mean a thing when sweetie croons sweet nothing. You may like your Rhapsody blue, but when my sweetie says I love you, that's what I call. That's what he calls. That's what I call sweet music.
A show I also miss in the Boardwalk Empire. I liked it. Mind you, I like that actor, Steve Buscemi. I like him. I think he's a really good actor. I've liked him since I saw him in Fargo. It kept driving me nuts. I'm trying to remember where I first saw him as an actor. And I realized the first time I ever saw him as an actor was in a show called Homicide, Life in the Street, with a long time ago now. Andre Bauer was in it, and Yaphet Kotto. It was really good. Clark Johnson was in it. Really fine actors. And it was a series on the TV about the police department in Baltimore, what they go through, and played this guy, and oh man, you just wanted to reach into the TV and wring his neck, and then you think, wow, what an actor, right? If he elicits that kind of response, and wow, what a job. Who is this guy? And yeah, he got more and more work and a big star. What I like about him is he always gives an A1 performance. You never see crap. But I think since Boardwalk Empire, he's kind of gone into hiatus or something. I guess after doing a series like that for 6 years or whatever, you kind of get burned out, For a while, it doesn't even matter about the money. It's just you're burned. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm burned out. But by the same token, then you get guys like James Arness who did like Gunsmoke for what, 20 years, and Bonanza and all those shows. Those guys never burned out. Mind you, they were kind of a different kind of pro, the new breed, so to speak. They remembered when it was you get paid a nickel for being an extra, so they got onto something. They kept it. No such thing as, oh, I want to move into something else. Which kills me too, because I've watched little bits of Bonanza once in a while in the last few years, just to see, because everybody watched Bonanza like after on Sunday night. God, it was Bonanza. That's what you watched. Everybody watched it, and it was people would discuss it the next day. Like Bonanza last night. Yeah. What do you think of that? Oh, yeah. And it was like it was a phenomenon, really. And it went on for years and years. Even as the cast finally died off, like the guy who played Haas died, and Dan Blocker, Pernell Roberts left, the guy who played Adam, the oldest son, and hell, I even think finally maybe even Lauren Green died. The voice of doom. That's what his nickname was during the World War II, Voice of Doom. Because he always had that booming baritone voice, and the Nazis have advanced. Oh my God. So, who knew? Who knows? Anyway, oh God, it's 10:30. Okay, I was going to stop an hour ago. Okay, well, that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. I wonder my eyes are starting to go on me. I didn't even realize it. Okay. Thanks because I did this sword. Okay. That's it for tonight, folks. Thank you kindly for watching. See you again tomorrow night, Monday, or we'll have another go at our orc. Got a couple days left in her, I think. So I'm gonna do the glove, and I still have to do the hair. And got quite a bit done tonight, though. Both suits of chainmail, and both sides of the chainmail, and the horns, and the sword, and the arm. Yeah, pretty good night. So good night. Have a great one. We shall see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Be there. I hope. Talk to you soon.